So I can tell you after we sit down.
This is a video for a class. This is not a real life counseling session. Oh, come on in. Hi, how are you? Good. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Mr. Baker, how are you?
Yourself?
Good. Glad you guys were able to come in today. I know you're coming from after work, so how was the traffic?
Crazy.
Oh,
It's been crazy.
Well, you guys made it on time to say it's crazy out there.
Yep.
Yeah, just planned ahead, knew which route to take.
Okay.
Kind of familiar with the area, so.
Okay, good. I'm glad you were able to make it here then. Okay, so before we get started, I'm therapist Ellis. Charles and I talked over the phone, and so we kind of familiar with each other a little bit. But I've been a therapist for the past 10 years, and I specifically counsel couples. Okay, and so so far you're in good hands.
Okay.
If you guys have any issues that I feel that you may need someone else to counsel you with, I'll let you know. If I feel like we're a good fit, then we'll go ahead on and continue.
Okay.
I did.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Got some water there if you guys want something to drink.
Appreciate it.
And we'll go ahead on and get started. Thank you for filling out the assessment. Okay. Cynthia, I see you're 29.
Correct.
Okay. Charles, you're 30.
Yes.
All right. And you guys have a 1-year-old daughter, Stacy. Oh, she's 4.
Yeah, she's 4.
I'm sorry. I misread what was here. She's 4 years old. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
Growing fast.
Growing really
Too
fast.
fast.
Too fast. And I see, Cynthia, you come from a 2-parent household.
Mm-hmm.
Parents have been married for over 40 years.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Been together since they were teenagers.
Ooh. That's a long time.
Long time.
That's a very long time. And so, Mr. Baker, I see that you come from a household, your parents were separated when you were 7 and
Yes.
okay.
They were together up until I was like 6 or 7. And they separated. And then for whatever reason, they decided to get back together when I was like 10 or 11.
Okay.
And officially divorced at like when I was 15.
Okay.
Not too stable, but you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we did.
Absolutely. Okay. So I see that you guys aren't married.
No, not
Do
yet.
you mind if I move this?
Oh, yes.
All right. If you don't mind. Thank you.
Yeah, not married yet. It's just, I'm not against marriage.
Right.
But it's just one of
It
those
just hasn't been the right time
Okay.
for, I think, the both of us.
Okay.
We always have stuff that we try to get used to every few years in our life. There's always something we got to get used to. And we get over that hump, and then something else happens. We got to get used to that and try to get over that hump. So marriage has never been like the priority. It's always trying to, get out of the situation that we're in.
Day by day.
Oh wow. So it's constant transition.
Yeah, you can say that, whether it's a job, moving arrangements, a pregnancy, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. Always a challenge, which can be very stressful.
Oh yes.
Oh, wow. So it looks like you guys have been together for almost 9 years, according to the information you provided.
Yeah, 9 years. Sounds about right.
That's a long time.
Sounds about right.
That's a long time. I see.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while.
I didn't always look this scruffy.
No.
Had a young face at one point.
You're right about that.
Okay. So far as your religious beliefs, I see that you both believe in, well, Mr. Charles specifically believes in God, higher power at least.
Exactly.
And then Miss Cynthia, you believe you're a Christian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was raised up in more of a Christian household,
Okay.
so that's kind of what I follow. I'm always open to learning about different religions and spirituality.
Okay.
So I don't completely focus on one religion. I would say at one time.
Okay. Okay. Any practices with your spirituality?
Honestly, no. I try to stay in touch with church, the gospel, but sometimes life happens and your mind kind of stray away from that, and your beliefs kind of switch a little bit. But I've pretty much been the same type of Christianity.
Okay. Okay. Been almost steady with a few.
Yeah.
Sidetracked a little bit.
Right.
And Mr. Young, you called in for the session.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the fact that both of you are here says that you at least want to work on whatever it is that
Almost definitely.
that's going on. So I have to commend both of you for taking the time to come in. I'm not sure what your level of devotion is to counseling or working on your relationship, but the fact that you're here says something about at least you want to try. So got to commend you for that. Now, this first session is really an assessment. We just want to assess where you guys are.
Okay.
You just kind of know a little bit about your background and where you come from. And I would ask that you at least commit to 2 more sessions after this. Okay.
Okay.
So not only, the reason why I do that is because we want to make sure we're a good fit for each other. Okay.
Makes sense.
Absolutely. Y'all want to know that I'm able to give you the service that you need and that you're looking for. And I want you to be confident that this is what you want, and I'm the person that's able to give that to you.
Okay.
Sounds good. Fair enough.
If not, if I find that you may not be a good fit, I'll go ahead and refer you out. Or if you find that I'm not a good fit, you have that option to say, this is not working.
Okay.
So if you guys are willing to 2 more sessions after this, I think we can establish that.
Okay. I hope so.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Fair enough.
And if we decide to go along with therapy or counseling, we will commit to at least 8 to 16 sessions after that. And, from there we'll talk about whether you need to come once a week or every other week, which we'll collaborate and we'll decide together.
Okay.
Any questions so far?
No.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Great. Now, if any time during the session there's something you don't understand or there's some input you want to give, feel free to say that. Now, I know I address you guys as Mr. Charles or sometimes Miss Cynthia or Miss Baker. Are you guys comfortable with that?
Yeah.
That's not a big issue for us right now.
Okay.
That's good.
All right, so now that we have that established, can you tell me a little bit more, Miss Young, about your family background?
Well, I come from I guess 8 family home. Grew up with 5 other siblings, 4 sisters, and an older brother. Parents live same house forever. Don't know anything other than mom and dad. We pretty much had, I guess, an okay upbringing. There was a few issues with, my parents. They sometimes, had arguments about small things, mostly probably money. But for the most part, I think that I had a pretty good upbringing.
Okay.
Yeah. They did their best.
That's what I can say. And what about you, Mr. Baker?
Well,
I know you described some, but some information earlier. But if there's anything you want to add to what you've already said, feel free. But if you feel like you said everything,
I mean, I will say that, like, my parents did divorce officially when I was 15, but in my mind, they was overwhelmed before that. So it was a decision. They made a decision to get back together, thinking it would be best for me. But they only made it worse, and I don't think they saw that till the end.
okay.
So for me, I never had as many. I have a brother. I also have a sister, but neither one of them was in the same house. So there was a lot of things I dealt with on my own, which comes up, to why we're here now, and a lot of other issues that we have. So just, seeing your father leave at 15, but knowing he was already emotionally gone years before that, that does a lot to a person.
Absolutely. The strain, the stress, the
Oh, yeah.
abandonment, the loneliness that comes with not having someone there. And so, but you said your other siblings weren't in the household, so you were left alone to deal with.
Yeah, well, my sister, she's only 14 now, so she wasn't really born around that time. But my older brother, he was out making his own decisions and mistakes as a young man. And so we have a tarnished relationship as well because of decisions he made in his life. And, not having that other brother or that extra person in the house to see what can we do to, keep each other sane. He wasn't that. But he had a different father than me as well, so maybe he felt like he wasn't as attached to the situation as I was. He probably was used to it, so he probably said, hey, I'm not going to stick around for this again.
Right.
I'm just going to do my own thing.
Right. So there was no support for you as far as letting out those emotions.
The only support system I had really was going to work. Like once my father left, I made up in my mind that apparently we already barely get by as it is. So I went out and basically got me a job at 14 and 15. And that was always my escape, going to work. So it's probably why I am the way I am now. Because
Good to know.
that was I went to work.
Yeah. That's how you cope. Honesty. That's pretty good. So it sounds like there were things you didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, I always knew that he was a kind of a workaholic, but I never knew the psychological, I guess you could say, part behind it. I just thought, I don't know. I guess I never really thought about it.
Never explored it. Came up with your own analysis as to why.
Right.
Okay. So, I guess it could have been real devastating for you, Mr. Charles, because you went through having your dad for a number of years, then him moving away or not being in the household, and then coming back at 13.
Yeah, around about 12, 11, 12.
Oh.
And then officially leaving when I was 15.
So that back and forth may have had an even bigger impact.
Oh yeah, because it's like, you want to stay or you want to go? Like, you're not hurting me either way. Better off if you leave, to be honest with you. That was just the way I thought. And the way I still think. Like, should have just stayed. Stayed gone. Maybe our relationship would be a little bit more better if you had left when you left the first time. Instead of coming back and just showing that you really don't want to be there, you're just only there because that just made it worse.
So it kind of, he was back and forth, which led to you being back and forth about, okay, are you going to be here or are you not going to be here? Do I know I have a dad or do I not know I have a dad?
Pretty much, yeah.
So those were some up and down emotions that you went through based on what your dad brought into the relationship.
Pretty much.
Okay. So you called us, Mr. Charles, when you called me, and you were looking for a session or you were looking for some help.
Right.
Can you talk to me about that?
Well, the reason why I call is because she comes from a family where, their parents were together for, 40 plus years, and I commend and I respect that. I come from a family where, you're not happy, you leave.
Okay.
So it's like, what's the point of still staying here if you're not happy? But I feel like I don't want to do that.
Okay.
So because I want to be able to, we all want to be better than our parents, or different than our parents, so we don't want to make the same mistakes they make. That's what I'm trying to say. So I don't want my previous childhood to affect what I have going on with myself, my daughter, and her right now. So we need to come together and come up with a game plan. And when you set your family differences aside, I set mine aside, and we come up with our own, the way we can make it work. Instead of saying, well, my parents this or my parents that. Our parents are my own now, so we need to figure out what's the best way for our situation. So my daughter can go up and say, my parents tell our story in the way we want it to be told.
Absolutely. So you don't want the comparison between the two different families to interfere with your family.
Right.
You know that there are some things about Miss Cynthia that were great, and you respect that, like you said, but at the same time, you want to create your own family life that's the ideal family as far as your thought process.
Right.
Wow. Okay. And I know Mr. Charles called, but how did you agree to it, or what was your part in coming to a session?
I think it was very necessary. It's about that time, honestly. But his upbringing and my upbringing, of course, was very different. So the way he handles certain situations is very different from the way that I handle them. And so I think that's where we butt heads at the most. I mean, his way of parenting is different from what I'm used to. And I'm used to, like, my dad, he had his issues. No lie, no sugarcoat, no none of that. But he was very involved with his daughters. He was very involved in them on a personal level, on a playful level, on every aspect of life. I mean, so I just try to get him to understand that you can discipline your child, but you still have to be there for them, to love them, and to give them that same kind of love that you give on a discipline level. And I don't think he understands that. And that's where we butt heads at. So his lack of, I guess, to me, affection is going to make me be 10 times more affectionate to her, because I don't think she's getting it from both sides.
So what do you think about that, Mr. Charles?
I show my daughter love and affection. She just doesn't like the way I discipline my daughter.
Okay.
That's all. That's what it boils down to. I'm a different type of discipline. Disciplinary. I do things different.
Okay.
And I'm not with the sugarcoat. Oh, go to this and that. And
but you're not consistent.
Yeah, because I try to give her time to change. I don't want to just jump on the deep end and be aggressive. It's crazy, it may sound, it builds up because I try to show you things and tell you things on a calm level. Then once I realize you're not getting it, that's when it starts to build up. Now the disciplinary and the curse words start to flare. It's not like I'm being disrespectful. It's just I don't know another way to get through, because that's how I was taught. First few times it's gonna be a simple conversation, but if you keep doing the same thing, then aggression comes.
So with Ms. Cynthia, you feel as if there's not enough love and affection in other areas of the relationship with the child, and then you go towards the discipline, which is you feel there's some lack in how you discipline a child when you're not showing enough love.
Right.
And it builds a relationship of all you want to do is discipline me, opposed to do you really then you feel as if you show love. I show love. I love my child. I am doing what a dad does. I'm doing what a parent that loves their child does. And, I'm gentle, and I'm gentle until I need to be more firm.
Exactly.
And I'm doing it all out of love.
Exactly.
So there's just some conflicts between the views of discipline, but you both feel like you love your child.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay. So, with the discipline of the child, we know that's one issue, and the views on how your parents raised you and your idea of what a relationship is, as well as yours. How do you? What would you say are some other areas of conflict with you guys? At least one other area.
That issue leads to
Which one?
the issue with our daughter leads to a less affectionate relationship between us two.
Okay.
So that's pretty much.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay. Oh, we have some agreement in that area.
I agree to a certain extent because I don't know how to say it to make it seem like the session is about me and what I want. But when it comes to that situation, the disagreement we have with our daughter, I don't allow there to be a disconnect between me and her. She's the only one that allows there to be a disconnect between me and her.
Okay.
So if we have a disagreement about our daughter, I'm not going to bring it into our situation, to make our situation worse as it is. So,
Right. Well, maybe I don't know how to separate.
That's where I come. I feel like there should be separation. We discipline our daughter. We have our time. We have your time with her. I have my time with her. We have our time all together. And that's just how I always feel like a family should operate in order for it to be, I guess, successful. If you want to say that way. But it shouldn't always be a burden on one person. It should always be spread amongst the whole family. So I don't let that be a disconnect between me and her. It makes me frustrated because she allows that disconnect to be there.
So as far as, would you agree with that?
I agree 100% because that's just something that really bothers me.
And you feel like it's an unresolved issue, and with an unresolved issue, you can't move on to the next area of your committed relationship because you have this other unresolved issue. You feel probably unheard, or like we have some unfinished business that really concerns me. And you just feel like I know how to separate things within my life in every area, so it doesn't spill over and it doesn't affect what I have going on in each area. Okay. So I see you guys are pretty open and honest so far, which is always a good sign. And something I've noticed too, that you guys actually having kind of an understanding of where you are and the differences between the both of you.
Well, yeah, I think we both can recognize what the problem is, but we just can't come to an agreement. So that's where you come in at.
Okay. That's pretty good. So the lines of communication are open. It doesn't seem like that you guys don't communicate, that you don't talk to each other. I mean, that's what it seems like to me so far.
We try, yeah.
Okay. Which is really good because you haven't gotten to the point where it's not fixable.
It's still like the only issue, and she probably won't agree, but she may agree. But the only issue that we have with each other is trying to discipline our daughter. But most couples, they have way more issues than what we have. They will have some couples who have about financial situations. Like we're not, bringing in, millions, but we make it happen for what we have. So financially, the situation is not really there. I mean, as far as a problem,
Okay.
but we're both working on long-term goals to where we can be successful. But like we don't have the average couple problems. We have, we're just trying to raise our kid problems. So that's why I say it's fixable. Because it's really peanuts to an elephant looking at other couples' relationship problems. So.
Something you agree with, Cynthia?
Yeah, I agree.
And it sounds like, based on what you're telling me, prior to your daughter, who's 4 years old, Stacy, right?
Yeah.
All right. So it's prior to Stacy, you guys had a pretty good relationship and no issues.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Cool. Real chill.
So it's been this transition into
Parenthood.
Parenthood is pretty much all it is. Because before our daughter came, we was, well, why you want to go to? What do you want to do? Now
It was just about us.
Yeah.
We did whatever we wanted.
Yeah. Now it's the children always bring in something added that you weren't used to prior to.
Yeah.
And so
It was a big change that I still really haven't fully adjusted to 4 years later. But I tried.
But overall, the main issue is the discipline.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we'll look at is some ways on how you can resolve that. But before we get into that on a deeper level, we'll definitely assess as far as the next 2 sessions, and we'll also look at how you grew up affects how you deal with the discipline with your child, and then we'll kind of go from there and see what we can do as far as the next intervention.
Okay.
So, I don't see this as a problem, but this is something I want you guys to do, okay? And it's not one of those deep interventions that we're going to do after the 3rd session if we decide to go ahead. But it is something that I think will open the lines of communication in other areas that you may not have, looked at or thought about. So before you go to bed every night, for about 10 minutes, go ahead and talk to one another about the discipline that you had when you were growing up. Okay? How your parents disciplined you, whether it was your mom or dad, even though they were separated, for some time. But when they were together, talk about how did they discipline you when they were together. And then, if you can remember, because you were 7.
Yeah. I can tell you, I don't remember nothing after, honestly, before 8, 7 or 8.
Okay.
So
you don't really remember.
I can't remember. I don't have a vision of us being together as a family.
Okay.
When I was small.
Okay. Ask your mom. Is she still around?
Yeah. I asked her. I talked to her.
Okay. Ask her, just to get some kind of insight, even if it's real brief. Just ask her how did they as a couple discipline you and then individually. Yeah. And then later on, or within the same conversation, you can ask her about the discipline as you got older. And if discipline was the reason why they separated. So, are you familiar with why they separated?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I don't think he would.
I really don't.
Just have his assumptions.
Okay. Okay. So that's something you can ask her about. But the discipline definitely something you want to ask her about. So find that out. And then, for 10 minutes at night, maybe on a Tuesday and a Thursday, you guys can discuss it. And just do this prior to seeing me again.
Okay.
So,
And then same with you. Even if you know specifics on how your parents discipline, go ahead and instead of doing it on Tuesdays and Thursdays, because we'll let Mr. Charles have his time first or second, whichever one. You can do yours on a Monday and a Wednesday.
Okay.
For at least 10 minutes.
That's fine.
And then go over that with each other.
Sounds good.
And then, you get a better insight of where each other is coming from. And not only the discipline style, but the style you have brought into your relationship now. And see if it had, you got hinted towards it being a part of what you grew up with, but how about what you may have learned along the way as well?
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
all
That
of
makes
that.
sense.
Yeah. And so we'll work on that. And then any questions or concerns? No.
I feel like we covered a lot of ground.
Okay. No concerns, anything.
I think right now, no.
Maybe some juice next time. Wine.
Yeah.
I'm just playing. We can't do wine.
What is good?
So that's it. So we'll go ahead on and close out. The next, let me see. We'll look at my calendar here and see when we can show up next time. Let me see. I kind of keep everything in my phone, so just.
It's everybody. It's the world we live in today.
We all live in the world of technology, so it makes sense to use it, right?
Exactly.
So what we'll do is, what works for you, a weekday or Saturday? Preferably Saturday. Okay. So we'll do a Saturday morning or an afternoon.
Same time. Should be good.
Okay, yeah. So we'll do a Saturday. We can either do next Saturday, which will be the 16th, or we can do the 23rd.
The 16th will probably work.
Okay.
I may not be in town.
Okay. Saturday the 16th at 5 p.m.
Between 4 and 5. Can I get back with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we'll just tentatively set it for 4:30.
Cool.
And just give me a call, and then we'll confirm it, and we'll go from there. So Saturday the 16th, 4:30.
It works.
All right.